Hey everyone! You ever have one of those days where you're staring at a huge to-do list and you just can't? Like, you're totally stuck. Well, it's a feeling pretty much all of us know. But what's really behind that feeling? Today, we're going to dig into something that gets mixed up all the time. The difference between just being lazy and having ADHD. So let's just jump right in with the big question, right? Are you actually lazy? Or is your brain chemically wired to struggle with getting started on things? I mean, think about it. That's a huge question. And honestly, the answer could completely change how you think about yourself, and maybe even how you see other people in your life. Okay, so to really get the difference, we've got to talk about why it's so darn easy to mix them up in the first place. Because, on the surface, they can look identical. All right, so let's imagine two people. We'll call them person A and person B. As you can see, they're both in bed. They've both got stuff to do. You see the thought bubble, right? Dishes, homework, the usual. And here's the kicker. Neither one is getting up to do it. If you were just watching from the outside, you'd probably think, hey, those two are exactly the same. But that's where the similarities stop. So what is the difference? Well, the real story isn't what we see on the outside. It's about what's really happening on the inside. And it basically boils down to one thing: choice versus chemistry. Okay, so let's talk about laziness first. At its core, laziness is a choice. It's an unwillingness to put in the effort. See our person B here? They're chillin', they're relaxed, they feel totally fine about not doing the dishes. They are actively choosing to relax instead. It's a conscious decision, not some kind of internal battle. But now look at person A. For them, it is a completely different world. This is not a choice. This is a biological thing. They want to get up. They know they should be doing that homework. But it literally feels like they're being tied down by invisible ropes. And that feeling, it's totally real, and it all comes from what's happening inside their brain. And this feeling, this struggle, has a name. It's called executive dysfunction. This is like a core feature of ADHD. It's a chemical thing in the brain that makes it incredibly hard to regulate your attention, to plan things out, and, this is the big one, to initiate tasks. It creates this huge, frustrating gap between your intention and your action. You know what to do, but you just can't make your body do it. Okay, so this brings us to a really interesting point. What I think is one of the biggest myths about ADHD. You always hear it's a lack of attention, right? But that's not quite right. It's more like a problem with directing your attention. It's a regulation issue. And that's a key reason why starting the right task can feel, well, impossible. I mean, this picture says it all, right? This is the classic challenge of distraction. A brain with ADHD can get pulled in a million different directions. It's not that the homework isn't important. It's just that the butterfly floating by, or a car horn outside, or even just a random thought, it can all feel equally loud and important. So trying to stay focused on one thing, it's a massive challenge. But then, and this is the paradox, there's the complete opposite: hyperfocus. This is where you get locked into something with this incredible, intense concentration. The only problem? It's often on something that isn't the main priority. Like, you can spend 6 hours on a new hobby, but you're completely ignoring the phone ringing, or, the house being on fire. The important stuff just fades into the background. So yeah, this whole attention regulation thing pops up everywhere. It's not just about a short attention span. It often means leaving things half done, having a tough time with impulse control, and man, just trying to get organized can feel like climbing a mountain. Just think about trying to organize a messy room. For a lot of people, you'd make a plan, right? Okay, first the clothes, then the books. But with executive dysfunction, you might walk in, immediately feel overwhelmed by all the choices, start one thing, get distracted by another, and an hour later, all you've done is move a pile of stuff from the floor to the bed. You're exhausted, but nothing actually got done. So you see, this is why we really need to change how we look at this stuff. Our gut reaction might be to see these things and label them as lazy or as some kind of character flaw. But what we're actually seeing are often just symptoms of a very real biological neurodevelopmental difference. Let's just put it all side by side to make it super clear. With laziness, the cause is a choice. With ADHD, it's a biological condition. With laziness, the effort is about an unwillingness to act. With ADHD, it's a struggle to act. The motivation is key too. Laziness is I don't want to. ADHD is I can't start. And that leads to a totally different internal feeling.
Laziness might feel like apathy or relaxation. ADHD feels like frustration and just being completely overwhelmed.
And that brings us to the big takeaway here. Look, getting this difference right isn't just about being correct. It's about changing, on a fundamental level, how we view ourselves and others. It's really all about moving past judgment.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. Whether you're thinking about yourself or someone in your life, what could we all accomplish if we just stopped? Stopped judging inaction as a moral problem and instead replace that judgment with a little bit of curiosity, just trying to understand what's really going on under the hood.